I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here. Okay? So I'm a working person, you know? And my kid has to feed her family, you know? And my great-granddaughter has to be fed by her family. I know it's hard out there, but I also know that there are a lot of things that we just said, no, I'm just going to go this way.
Right. And that she has no choice but to, you know, really pick herself up every day and just head over to work. And it's like a lot of manual labor, like the way she carried herself.
Everyone, fasten your seatbelts because we are about to go on an exciting time from the Vantage Point. In response to a recent post by Whoopi Goldberg that generated a lot of discussion, Kasparian did not mince words. She publicly questioned Whoopi's viewpoint, voicing skepticism about how well her position reflected the realities that many Americans encounter. It is hardly surprising that Anna felt compelled to speak up given the skyrocketing cost of living, the record-high credit card debt, and the millions of people experiencing financial difficulties. Many viewers think that the issues that ordinary people confront are typically kept distinct from those of celebrities. As a result, we will examine the topic, opposing perspectives, and the significance of these disputes in this video. You won't want to miss this one, so remain motionless. Let's get started.
People that felt heard, and that's what I'm trying to lock into. It won't change my stance, or maybe it will. I'm open to someone trying to convince me.
That Donald Trump is good for people?
If that's what you're hearing, you're missing my whole point.
I am. I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too.
Yeah.
I work for a living.
Congratulations.
Do you? All right, well, the ladies of The View are still trying to figure out what went wrong in the presidential election, with some still rejecting the idea that Democrats abandoning working class Americans certainly did not help their cause. Definitely hurt them in this election. What's even more interesting is how Whoopi Goldberg, someone who is worth tens of millions of dollars, views herself as a working class American. Let's take a look.
I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too.
Yeah.
I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here. Okay? So I'm a working person, you know? And my kid has to feed her family, you know? And my great-granddaughter has to be fed by her family. I know it's hard out there, but I also know that there are a lot of things that we just said, no, I'm just going to go this way.
Right.
And a lot of that is also what happened. I love what she did. Yay. You know, we talk to people all the time who say, this is what's bothering me. But the thing that's bothering everybody should not be the thing that puts 85% of other people in danger.
Yeah.
What is she talking about?
That's what we're saying.
I think the 60% of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck already feel.
Whoopi Goldberg's recent remarks about her identify as a working-class American are one of the main topics of discussion in this essay. In an interview on The View, Goldberg stated, "I had a job and a family to support, so I am aware of the hardships faced by regular Americans." However, this description is vehemently contested by experts like Anna Kasparian, who contend that it fails to capture Goldberg's financial reality. Critics contend that Goldberg's representation of herself as financially frail may not relate with those who are actually experiencing financial difficulties due to her alleged multi-million-dollar contracts, opulent homes, and long career in the entertainment industry. Kasparian stresses that instead of portraying herself as sympathetic to Americans who are struggling, Goldberg ought to be more open about her money and status. The site is also criticized for what some see as a dearth of free speech and diversity of viewpoints. Kasparian and others claim that rather than encouraging wide-ranging, unrestricted debates, the program typically serves to reinforce particular ideological viewpoints. Although the viewpoint is presented as a forum for unrestricted discussion, many contend that discussions are frequently limited and that there are few competing viewpoints. This begs the question of whether the show actually explores other points of view or if it largely acts as a forum for promoting a specific narrative.
Yeah, but she knows, Anna.
Right,
she knows.
right.
Now, look, does she work for a living? Yeah, she does. She's a talk show host. working for a living.
Super hard work.
Okay, yep. That's what we do. And by the way, sometimes it is hard.
No, it is hard work. Okay, we don't just come on the show and like talk out of our asses. Like
now she has like 100 producers and one of 5 hosts. Like I've done that kind of show before, and it's super easy. But anyway, but I'm not taking that away from her. My point is, Whoopi, you can't say like you work for a living and then I know your pain, etc., as if you're a person who isn't spectacularly wealthy. You have to at least acknowledge, look guys, I get it. I'm wealthy and I used to be poor, but I haven't been poor in a long, long time. But here's the ways that I could relate. Just be honest about it, no problem, right? But when you make it seem like you're barely getting by and you're worried about feeding your grandkids.
Come on.
No,
she made it seem like she's struggling and that she has no choice but to, really pick herself up every day and just head over to work, and it's like a lot of manual labor. Like the way she carried herself in that segment was ridiculous. And look, we don't know exactly how much she's worth. I want to be clear about that. There are some articles that keep citing celebrity net worth, which makes me want to pull my hair out of my head.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Guys, that's based on nothing. Like people who believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a private citizen. She's not a public employee. So her earnings are not public information, but we can put some bits and pieces of what's been reported in the past together to figure out she's not a working class American, okay? So Goldberg was able to negotiate a salary for Sister Act 2 back in the habit between an estimated $7 million and $12 million, making Goldberg the highest paid actress in Hollywood at the time. In 2007, she joined The View as moderator and panelist alongside creator Barbara Walters, Joy Behar, Sherry Shepard, and Elizabeth Hasselbeck. In a 2016 report from Variety, Goldberg's one-year contract was estimated to be worth between $5 million and $6 million.
Yeah, you work for a living, but you're not a working class American. There's a difference.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just, look, my point is, you don't understand what it's like to be a struggling American who's concerned about their financial stability. You get what I'm saying? Like
100%. No, look, we've covered The View a lot, unfortunately. And so the two things she said are just not remotely true. Which she's, about being a working class American. She said, Me Too. I guess maybe that's a new Me Too movement for rich people on TV. Like, oh, working class, Me Too, Me Too. Come on, guys, come on. It insults our intelligence, right? But the second thing she said near the end there, if I understood it right, was she was saying, well, we talk to people all the time that disagree. Do you? I mean, I get it that you have you have the former Trump people, etc. But there are now never Trumpers have flipped and are on your side, and they gently bring up some points that other people might be thinking, etc. And then everybody yells, etc. But
additionally, Kasparian draws attention to the sharp contrast between the opulent lifestyle of Whoopi Goldberg and the financial struggles that millions of Americans endure. In contrast to the experiences of media elites, she highlights the obvious signs of a struggling working class. Increased credit card delinquencies, rising consumer debt, and stagnant incomes are some of these symptoms. Kasparian contends that the inability to see this economic inequality is the root of the annoyance more so than Goldberg's financial success per se. These days, a large number of Americans struggle financially, frequently turning to credit and loans to cover essential expenses. When famous people talk about financial issues without acknowledging their privileged status, Kasparian says it can come across as unrealistic. She contends that the language of adversity may downplay the actual difficulties faced by regular people if it is employed without first-hand experience. By looking at a more general problem with the media and political establishment, the conversation builds on this criticism. This viewpoint holds that many well-known media personalities have lifetime financial security, often attend Ivy League universities, and originate from wealthy families. Critics claim that this could result in a narrow perspective that influences how issues are discussed, giving priority to subjects that appeal to elite circles over the urgent economic problems that the vast majority of Americans face.
Do you accept criticism within the Democratic Party, let's say from progressives or populists?
Oh, definitely not.
Oh my God,
definitely
no way.
Not. Yeah.
Like they're famous for telling everyone in the Democratic Party, shut up and accept Biden, accept Kamala Harris, accept Hillary Clinton, bow your head. That's mainly what The View does. So that's why it insults our intelligence and it's just offensive, but forget offensive, it's annoying for her to say like, oh, we talk to people all the time, we're so open-minded. Come on,
Look,
Whoopi.
in fact, we hadn't been covering The View all that much prior to the election because it got boring. It seemed like they mostly agreed on everything. But it is interesting to see how conflict has increased on that show following the outcome of the election, because Sunny Hostin especially does not want to accept that Democrats lost due to the fact that they have abandoned the working class. She's like totally in la la land about it, and so is Whoopi Goldberg, but Sunny Hostin's on another level, okay? But anyway, putting that aside, I'm gonna just give you a little more information because I want to juxtapose the kind of life Whoopi Goldberg lives and what average Americans are struggling with right now. So let's go to graphic 4 here. After landing her gig on The View, Goldberg relocated back to New York City, where she bought a full floor loft in Soho for $4 million.
Me too, she knows. She knows the working class.
She sold the 2-bedroom apartment in 2010 during the economic crash, of course, for just under $3 million, so she lost there. But in a search for more privacy, she moved to the New Jersey suburbs, purchasing a $2.8 million mansion in the gated community. Okay, so that's—
in New Jersey, $2.8 million will buy you a castle.
Okay, so that's the kind of life she's lived, okay, and has been living. In the meantime, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York just came out with new data in regard to consumer debt, which is at an all-time high of $17.9 trillion, okay? Credit card balances increased by $24 billion to $1.17 trillion, as a record 600 million accounts are now open. Auto loan balances rose $18 billion to $1.64 trillion. Further, student loan balances grew by $21 billion to a record $1.61 trillion. And look, people are taking out lines of credit. They're maxing out their credit cards because they are struggling, okay? And since wages aren't keeping up with inflation, that is also leading to delinquencies. So let's look at that. Delinquency rates have also edged up from the previous quarter. About 126,000 consumers had a bankruptcy notation added to their credit reports in the third quarter, just the third quarter alone. Overall, 3.5% of outstanding debt was in some stage of delinquency, up from 3.2% in the second quarter. So look, I give you guys that data because no, you're not in the same camp as the people who are frustrated and angry about the fact that they see less and less opportunity to build wealth in this country, and even worse, less and less opportunity to stay afloat when it comes to their personal finances.
Fundamentally, this grievance is about the lack of sincerity and openness among media personalities rather than success or riches in general. Broadcasters like Whoopi Goldberg would do more to help the public by being honest about their financial stability than by portraying themselves as struggling with ordinary Americans, Kasparian and her fellow analysts said. Furthermore, they urge a change in emphasis from performative identity politics to more urgent problems like debt, healthcare, salaries, and overall economic opportunity. They argue that media superstars can only start to close the growing divide between themselves and the working-class Americans they purport to understand by tackling these pressing issues. Ultimately, this goes beyond a single Whoopi Goldberg controversy or dubious Whoopi Goldberg instance. It's part of a larger media trend where celebrities portray themselves as working class even if their lives are very different from those of those who face everyday financial hardships. Simply stated by Anna Kasparian, these media elites are not confronted with the daily challenges of surviving, stagnant incomes, or growing debt. In addition to being deceptive, their claims of relatability irritate people who truly experience that reality. People are starting to wake up. They are fed up with multimillionaires who haven't lived paycheck to paycheck for years talking down to them. Real discussions are needed, led by individuals who aren't scared to question accepted wisdom and defend the rights of regular Americans. Here, that's precisely what we're doing. If you agree with me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you agree with me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll see you at the following one.